Well, this week, TikTok executives appeared before a parliamentary committee to answer questions about employees in China accessing Australian user data.
Why is it necessary to collect the information about other apps installed on a user's phone?
To my knowledge, we don't do that, but I will get back and verify.
Okay, I'm surprised that you're not able to answer these sorts of questions that are kind of pretty obvious and foreseeable questions. Let's move on. Why is it necessary for the app to collect the Wi-Fi networks that a user logs into? But why would it need to store the Wi-Fi networks that you collect?
Again, I'll have to, my knowledge is we collect whether or not the device is using Wi-Fi or cellular for performance reasons or security reasons to make sure it's an authentic device.
Shadow Home Affairs Minister James Paterson doing a sensational job as always. Well, joining me to discuss is Chief Executive at Strategic Forum, Ross Babbage. Ross, welcome to the program once again. You know, these are really inadequate responses from TikTok to serious security concerns that they knew they would have been asked.
Well, really, I think it was pretty lightweight effort from TikTok and their performance, not only here, and Senator Paterson, I agree, is doing a wonderful job there, but also in the US Congress. They didn't exactly cover themselves with glory when they were asked some pretty direct questions there, and they didn't provide very good answers. The reality, there are some certain really core realities here. They are collecting data. They're actually required to for a significant period of time in a raft of ways. And thirdly, we need to understand that everything that a Chinese-based information provider like TikTok or ByteDance, those companies, in fact, all companies operating in China, are beholden to follow the national security law, which insists on corporates providing direct access to the intelligence services into their systems. So the reality is, no matter what these people might say, these executives of these companies are saying, those who are Chinese-based companies, the reality is that the Chinese intelligence services, if they wish to actually access this data, can and do.
Yeah. Now, look, keeping with a similar theme, NATO has rebuked China for backing Russia's invasion of Ukraine. It cited cyber attacks, disinformation as threats to the alliance security. China's responded by opposing NATO's expansion into the Asia-Pacific region. It's warning against actions that it says could jeopardise its sovereignty. What do you make of all of this?
Look, I think it's obvious that many of the threats that the Europeans face are not just those that are located or have their origins in Europe. And they're very worried about cyber attacks from China. They're worried about foreign interference like we are. They're worried about a range of other things. And they realise that they have strong interests in this part of the world, and not just economic interests, but security interests as well. And so there was a proposal for NATO to establish, if you like, an outpost, not to join up members in the Indo-Pacific as part of NATO, but to have a NATO office established in Tokyo. And that's been the source of ongoing debate. The French are not terribly happy with it. Probably won't happen in the short term, but I suspect it will in time. So they feel engaged here, and they're very concerned about the future security outlook here, and they feel as though they have a strong interest in having a say.
All right, thank you so much. Ross Babbage, Chief Executive at Strategic Forum. Really appreciate your insights.